We're going to go now to Washington, ABC News, and Frank Reynolds for a late-breaking news story. Here, tragic report for Frank Reynolds, ABC News, Washington. ABC's NFL Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Datsun, who invites you to test drive the all-new 200 SX Sport Coupe. It'll drive you like you have never been driven. That's your Datsun dealer now. We'll be ready for the second half kickoff after a word from our local stations. New Orleans 28, Oakland 14. We'll be back. The Saints and the Raiders have taken the field once again as we are moments away from the beginning of the second half. We look at the statistics. New Orleans, who piled up at one point a club record 28 points in one quarter, 28 unanswered points. They did it with a couple of turnovers on the part of the Oakland Raiders, a deflected pass that was intercepted, and a fumble by Stabler, both leading to New Orleans touchdowns. At the beginning of the ball game, New Orleans had marched the length of the field, looked like they were going to control it. They had talked about ball control. They did just that. New Orleans settled down. They came right back and marched off a touchdown drive of their own that took over 6 minutes. And then it was all New Orleans until the final 2 minutes and 18 seconds when Kenny Stabler took his team from the 21-yard line the length of the field. He had a lot of help from a defensive infraction by Eric Felton in the end zone. The story 28-14, but it's far from over.
The story, Chuck Muncie among others. Al Davis said today, the one man I fear is Muncie. He just told me our defense isn't worth a darn. I'm disgusted. Didn't mince words about it.
That's Dick Stanfield, one of the all-time great players that ever played. He coached for Dick Nolan out in San Francisco, and of course he was the one holdover after Stram was fired that Dick kept. Great professional player at Detroit and Washington. Garo Yepremian will kick off for New Orleans. Ira Matthews is 43. To your left, he's back there with Todd Christensen. But it will be Matthews from his 7-yard line. And Matthews, it's New Orleans out to the 33-yard line, close to the 34, where we anticipate a offense that will be comprised of a 2 tight end offense. Again, you're looking at the import to this game for New Orleans. They need a win tonight to move back into a tie with the Los Angeles Rams, who won in overtime over Minnesota yesterday. New Orleans next week will play San Diego here. Their final game of the year will be in the Los Angeles Coliseum. And for Oakland, they have the same record, but they are all but mathematically out of any potential playoff possibility. Oakland with a 1st and 10, and Arthur Whittington gets the call first, out over the 35, close to the 37. Ken Bordelon made the stop there for New Orleans.
In theory, Oakland could still make the playoffs. Realistically, even if they win tonight, it's not likely. But apparently Oakland's going to go right back to its original game plan, which is encouraging from the point of view of competitive game time.
Smart thing to do, I think, too, Howard, because they came in the first series of downs they had. Man, they moved right down to do everything they wanted to.
Branch was the starting flanker. 2nd down 6, Stabler to the air. A lot of time. Incomplete. Intended there for Casper.
Oh, that's
Hughes defensively along with Fettersfield. They were right in the middle of that pattern.
I think that's a good example of how you can, you're limited what types of patterns you can run with that 2 tight end offense. They really are not in a position to do a great deal more than to do the crossing type patterns. You saw Chester come over. The pass was thrown late. And so, therefore, Chester had time to get over really in front and bring his defensive people over in front of Casper.
But that's why you have to like Fettersfield. He has such tremendous range back there. He's going to be very hard to get out of there, even by Bordelon, whom they're so high on.
3rd down 6. Stabler again with the time, and it's almost picked off.
Oh, that really was almost picked off.
Tom Myers almost, and he might have turned that into 6 had he been able to hold on.
He probably would have. He turned 1 into 6 this year. Look at it again, Don.
Yeah, really. The Saints are tied, well, we're coming into this game tied with the Redskins for most interceptions at 22. Kind of unusual that every defensive back and every linebacker has an interception this year. This is the guy that has had 6 so far.
Tarkenton won't forget Myers. He intercepted 1 on Fran in the end zone last year, ran it back in the opening game more than 100 yards for a touchdown, and New Orleans won the game.
Butch Monty awaits the punt of Ray Guy. This time Guy turns it over, gets the nose down, Monty takes it at the 12. Beautiful punt by Guy. And hustling down there was Rufus Bess. 50-yard punt by Ray Guy, who had one earlier off the side of his foot and was way below his average, which was third in the NFL coming into tonight's play.
There are a lot of weekly cliches ringed in this game, but that last Oakland series was important because they wanted to establish something immediately, get a score on the board, and really get back into this game. They couldn't do it.
That's an indication that what you're talking about, Oakland has not been able to stop New Orleans either. We saw Oakland do it the first series, but they've only stopped the Saints one drive. That was their first.
1st and 10, the Saints, their own 25-yard line. They have a 28-14 lead. Their first possession here in the third quarter. Ike Harris in motion, the handoff to Chuck Muncie. And Muncie slips out of the grasp of Rod Martin, but he's taken out of bounds after a gain of a yard and a half.
Frank, I don't want to depart the storyline, but a guy came in to say hello to the three of us who I think deserves mention. One of the best defensive ends you ever saw. Rich Jackson of Denver, now teaching here in New Orleans. He just wanted to come up and say hello. And it's nice to see a guy so valuable to the community who has been such a great player.
2nd down, 8. Manning hangs it up. Galbreath. And Ted Hendricks defensively, again for Oakland, they were trying to cover Galbreath with the linebacker. That's a very difficult thing to do. He's a gifted receiver with a lot of speed.
Frankie, it's one of those patterns that you really just hope you can complete in practice because it was an out and go. You see Hendricks had him to the outside. The ball was thrown before Galbreath made his move, and he was behind Hendricks by a good 3 or 4 yards.
They talk about touch in quarterbacks.
That was nice
just
touch.
laid up there.
Nice touch. Really was.
Beat one of the best linebackers around for so many years, Ted Hendricks.
The first down for New Orleans inside the 43-yard line of the Oakland Raiders. Play action by Archie Manning. Looking for Ike Harris. He was covered, so Manning does what he does so well, runs with the football. He doesn't do it as often as he did when he came up a few years ago, but he gets good yardage. Give him 6, it'll be 2nd down and 4.
But that's the mobility Don Meredith has been talking about.
You know, yeah, I got a funny feeling that time that something must have gone wrong back there because he didn't waste much time to move. You know what I mean? Hi, Mom, please send money.
The playoff ticket.
He was looking deep to Ike Harris, and Lester Hayes was all over Harris.
Is that what he wanted? He just moved so quickly. He moved to the outside and made his run. But he does. You know, Archie is. They're trying to get him not to run. They don't like to see the quarterbacks run, particularly when you see those two guys he's got lined up right behind him.
2nd and 4. The ball at the 37-yard line. Muncie in the side handoff gets the first down. Down to the 31-yard line.
Frank, they had a 4-man line that time, but they still had a guy lined up over the center. Been several names for that type of defense. I don't know really what you call it, overshift. We just call it a Frisco defense. But they try to. Again, I think the center, John Hill, is doing a heck of a job in the middle of that line. They're really high on Sanders also at left guard. They think Robert Wood is potential all-pro. These guys are doing a good job.
Hello, Dick. Remember all the mornings we drove into Yankee Stadium together? You and Landry and Robustelli?
What did he say?
On 1st down, Manning tries to get the screen to Muncie.
Oh, Pat Toomey is on him.
Offensively, your old teammate, Pat Toomey out there, Donald.
Now, we talked about that once before. He never was my teammate. You guys had me convinced one time that he was, but he really wasn't. But there he is.
Well, he's convinced he was.
Well, maybe so. You know, that got a little fuzzy that time of your life.
Used to drive in, go to a little coffee shop across the street from the stadium. On arrival, Gifford would always be there with the coffee already in the container, a seeded roll, and butter.
Nothing has changed. You can always count on Frank. By golly, Frank.
2nd down, 18. Ball 40-yard line of the Oakland Raiders. Good defensive play. Toomey. Manning. Galbreath. Down inside the 30. It'll be 3rd down and 8.
What a show Galbreath is giving you folks tonight. What a receiver he is.
He is put together. The thighs. His thighs are like 34 inches. Yeah, that's just unbelievable.
5 receptions. Galbreath tonight, 87 yards. Big play, I feel personally, for Manning right here. 28-14, they lead. They could get it in. They would put Oakland in an entirely different situation. Quarterback draw, I believe it was, and Dave Pear was all over Manning.
He sure was. That's exactly what they're trying to do, Frank. They have the middle linebackers out of the middle. They're trying to split those 2 guys up front. Dave Pear's too big, too strong.
And out comes Rick Partridge, presumably to punt. And Russell Erxleben, their #1 draft pick, great place kicker from Texas, been available. Of course, he's been out most of the season. They might be tempted to go for a field goal from this range. It's probably out of Yepremian's area. Whistle had blown before the ball was snapped. Lester Hayes made a move on Partridge. And Oakland says they want timeout. So we have 11:06 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 4th down for New Orleans when we return to the Superdome in a moment.
That's it. Do you know us? When we flew the first balloon across...
Oakland apparently concerned as to what were the real intentions of the New Orleans Saints. Called timeout. They discussed it, and Partridge remains in the game, punting position. Ira Matthews in just a short safety as he is anticipating Partridge's angle for the corner. And he's hit a beauty.
Oh, man, did he ever.
Which is exactly why Dick knows for that play. Because he doesn't believe that Yepremian any longer has the range to have kicked a field goal from there, which is why Shula dropped Garo and kept the rookie from Oklahoma, Ubi Van Schamen.
But it also did raise some questions because you're sitting there on the 32-yard line and you can play a lot of the armchair quarterbacks. You say, well, now, and that's why I think Oakland called timeout, because I think they were confused, too. This Partridge, he's got to be a bargain, man. They picked him up for basically nothing.
And look where Stabler is.
Stabler inside his own 3-yard line. Van Eeghen muscles it out over the 5, close to the 7-yard line for a gain of about 4, where it'll be 2nd and 6. Derrick Jensen rather than Van Eeghen carrying the ball, and an injured New Orleans Saint is down.
Price, I believe, Frank.
Alex
Price.
Well, they did what they wanted to do. They just nailed them back in there.
That's exactly right.
Let them have the ball, but they got an awful long way to go, and more than likely, it's going to take them a good while to do that. They haven't just been blowing them away.
Price remains on the artificial turf. We'll be back in a moment. Price appears to be all right. We looked at a replay. It appeared as if he had been hit by his own teammate, Ken Bordelon.
That's pretty creative.
That certainly is.
At the grade school level.
2nd down, 6. Derrick Jensen, 31, and Mark Van Eeghen. The elephant back to a pair, if you will.
You just won't be a nice guy, will you?
Yeah.
Van Eeghen.
All right.
And Van Eeghen close to a 1st down.
Very pretty piece of work.
Not bad.
No flag thrown on that play.
We will get a measurement as Van Eeghen up very close to a 1st down, out around the 13-yard line. I believe he has it.
Going to be close. Little trivia question for you two guys. Who was the guy that led the AFC in rushing before Earl Campbell came into the league?
Before Earl Campbell?
Yeah.
Led the AFC in rushing.
It's a good question, isn't it?
How about Mark Van Eeghen?
You devil, you knew all along. Oh, Frank. That's right. That is right.
I got one for you.
All right.
How do you keep a turkey in suspense?
Do you know that one, Howard?
I'll tell you later.
I got a different answer for that one, and now is not the place.
Okay.
1st and 10. Jensen to the 17-yard line. Derrick Jensen.
Well, if you really want to play trivia, the New Orleans Saints have 3 guys who were the MVP in the Sugar Bowl down here at one time in their collegiate careers.
Archie Manning.
That's one of them.
2nd down 5. Ball at the 18-yard line. Remember, they started from inside their own 3. And Eeghen.
And
20-yard line is Fetterspiel.
I told you about Fetterspiel. He is some
He is
player.
good. I'm certainly not putting Fetterspiel down at all. I think he's doing a great job and in a real key position in this type of defense. You see, once again, it's very hard to get a guy out to block him. The whole design of the flex is to keep those guards and center off of him and let him go do it. He did a good job about that time.
As I've said before, Kentucky turns out a lot of tough kids.
Yep.
LeMaster of the Eagles, another example. Linebacker.
3rd and 2. Stabler with play action.
Kenny.
Picked off. Bordelon. Touchdown, New Orleans.
Bordelon.
Kenny knows, under terrible pressure, he released the ball when he shouldn't have.
He got hit when he did it, too.
Ken Bordelon, who played his collegiate football here at LSU. 2nd interception this season, and it puts the Saints up another touchdown.
Little play action fake. You'll see coming from the outside. Man, they just really put a good one on him. That was Bennett. Barry Bennett got there. Kenny got off very slowly and is walking off the sideline. I think you're right. He tried to force it a little bit. This oftentimes happens. He knows he got to get him there. There's a little pressure. You see him try to move. He's trying to get it away.
Desperation.
Just desperation.
Well, that was a pretty good interception. Bordelon went way up in the air to get it.
Good athlete, Frank. Really a good all-around athlete. He had a bruised knee earlier in the game, was out for a few plays. Obviously, the bruise feels better now.
Yeah,